what was it like just walking up to the first customer when you were uh, just starting in car sales?
Oh, it was terrifying. So I was a really shy kid growing up. And with my learning disability came a lot of social problems too. And I just realized, speaking of funny side stories, I realized that I was not able to read a room as a young child. And I don't know what happened or when it happened or why it happened, but one day I just realized, I think it was seventh grade, I just realized people don't like me. I am annoying. And and I mean, outside of my family, most people cannot stand me. So I was attention deficit disorder and I was off the wall and I thought it was fun to annoy people. And if you read up on ADHD, that's not uncommon. Like a lot of ADHD children have a lot of social issues and they have trouble connecting with people and making friends and all that jazz. My solution to that
Hmm.
in seventh grade was to just shut up and watch everybody else and then try to imitate. That actually helped me develop a passion for psychology. But flash forward to 10th grade, and I never spoke up and never said anything ever. And I probably deleted about 3 years of social development by shutting up for 3 years, on top of already being way behind everybody else. And so I had serious social issues growing up. I remember in 10th grade, the cute girl from Halloween walked by my house almost every day, and I always played basketball right after school. And one day she walked by my house and then just turned and started walking up the driveway towards me. And I realized in that moment, like, oh no, uh, I now have to talk to this woman or this young woman or young teen or whatever, however old we were. And I have no idea how to do that because I've shut up for the last 3 years. And years prior to that, I was incredibly annoying. And my solution in that moment was just to laugh really hard and uncomfortably. And that girl ended up being my first girlfriend ever because eventually I said, you know what, I'm just going to put myself out there and just try to watch and observe the feedback and adjust myself until I figure out a way to do this, because sitting back and watching others and then trying to imitate it, but then being too afraid to imitate it and be wrong, that it wasn't working for me. It took me years to really fully come out of my shell and really develop uh, an ability to not only watch feedback, but adjust myself accordingly. And by the time I reached the car dealership, I was 22 years old. So that would have been another 5+ years of just, you know what, if I want this, if I want to start a family, if I want to chase my dreams, if I want to be a good dad one day, I'm going to need to go out and learn this because this isn't going to come to me. And so by the time I got to the car dealership, it was still incredibly scary to walk up to a customer. It was incredibly scary for me as an introvert and socially underdeveloped child to talk to people in general, even as a 22-year-old. And on top of that, now I got to sell this person something they may or may not want. Otherwise, I don't get paid. And so I did kind of the same thing I did when that girl walked up my driveway. Was I went, well, I guess I just got to burn the ships. Just got to try it and fail and fall on my face. I did not realize this at any of those moments I just described there, that what I was doing was I was someone who could have easily said I'm the victim here and blamed the world. But instead, even as a seventh grader, I said, you know what? I have a problem. Here it is. I'm going to go try things until I have a solution. And it was terrifying. And it was terrifying even after 4 years and over 800 cars sold and tons of awards from Honda. I sold Hondas. It was still terrifying picking up the phone and going to meetings with brokers and mobile home park owners. To this day, I still get a little scared when I pick up the phone. But the reality is, I've understood fear management, and at a young age, and I understood this intuitively, and now I understand this more conspicuously. You have to throw yourself out there and gather that feedback and make the necessary adjustments and be starving for feedback and adjustments. And you have to wake up every day trying to be just a little bit better. You don't have to kill yourself. It's not intensity, it's consistency. You need to be able to show up every dang day. And you know what's funny? And just to end this story, I was just in Germany, and people in Europe can speak multiple languages. It's a non-issue over there. Over here, it's a novelty that I can speak two languages. And so, like, when I bump into the Americans over in Germany, and they're like, "Man, how did you teach yourself Spanish as an adult? Like, you don't have any Spanish in you." And the reality was, I was pretty good in Spanish in high school and in college, but I never placed out of classes or anything like that. So I was okay at it academically. But all of my friends that passed me in high school and college, and jumped up to AP Spanish, or uh, didn't have to take Spanish in college, they all are not fluent now. And they asked me, they're like, "Dude, how'd you do that? Because I was ahead of you in high school and college." The reality is, school teaches you, at least in the United States of America, the incentive structure is don't be wrong or you won't get an A. And what that does, don't be wrong or you won't get an A. This has to be perfect to get the grade. And what that does to kids, it creates a fixed mindset. What you need is a flexible mindset. What you need is to be able to go out there and fail when you're learning a foreign language. You just need to go and look like an idiot. And if you were listening to that story I just told, I eventually developed a comfortability being uncomfortable and looking like a dork. And as a result, I then was able to go out and start speaking Spanish in a very broken way and learning even faster. And now that I'm fluent, it's funny, people look at me and they'll judge me, as we all do. And they're like, "He's a dorky white boy with a very American accent." Then all of a sudden I start speaking Spanish in a very Americanized accent. And they double take and they look at me and they're like, "Wait, did I just hear that?" And it is the perfect example to explain how I found success in entrepreneurship, was how I found success developing my social skills, for one, like I told you, and number two, learning a foreign language. Because you just put yourself out there. You're wrong, but you get that feedback, you make the adjustment, and you don't go for intensity. You go for consistency. You do a little bit every day indefinitely. You put yourself out there. And that is how you find success in business or a foreign language. Or here's the spoiler alert: about anything that is a discipline in this life is about practice and feedback and consistency. So I don't know if that was exactly the answer you were looking for with your question, but we hit on some more good stuff there.